It was well past 11 in the night. The last of the guests were on the verge of leaving. It had been a long day, but she was not tired. The shine in her eyes was well reflected by the brightness of her bridal attire. She tilted her head up to look fondly at the tall, dark, and handsome man standing next to her, her love, who had always stood by her side as the relationship went through its usual roller coaster ride. He instinctively turned towards her and clasped her hand firmly. As she leaned towards him, he whispered in her ear, "Tonight we celebrate, my love." As he gently wrapped his left arm around her waist and looked at her lovingly, she knew now that what had happened 4 years ago was the right thing. She stood on her tiptoes, stretching her 5 foot nothing slender frame to fullest and hugging him from behind. Kissed him on the back of his neck. He almost dropped the spatula with which he was stirring the simmering chicken curry. Oh God! Is she really oblivious to the millions of mini lightning bolts that run through me when she is so close? He wondered. Deliberately ignoring his thudding heart, he gently disengaged himself and, with an exaggerated bow and a twinkle in his eyes, announced to her, "Lunch is ready, Mem Saab." He was rewarded with a tinkling laughter which was followed by an equally exaggerated royal walk of 2 meters to the rack where the plates were placed. She selected the largest of all plates and they both served food into it. The food was simple but cooked with love. They took turns feeding each other, playfully teasing all along. After all the cleaning was done, they looked at each other. This hunger was satiated, but in 2 pairs of eyes, there were signals of a different kind of hunger flaring up. He was 22, she was 19, and it was just the two of them at his place. Both were young, away from home, away from parental policing, and no chaperone. They hugged each other tight and lay down, listening to each other's heart beat faster and faster. A sea of emotions surged through them, ready to break all barriers. She trembled slightly and inched even closer to him. Stealing up his self-control to the last iota, he kissed her on the forehead. She looked up at him, and in his closed eyes she read, "I love you, and you're too precious for me to lose. It is not yet the time for the barriers to break. Will you wait for me till the time is right for us to drown in the wild, untamed sea?" A tear ran down her cheek as she smiled and nodded her consent. She knew that he not just loved her but respected her too. She was indeed so lucky. They hugged each other tighter, their fingers entwined. His large frame wrapped himself protectively around her as their hearts beat steadily in unison, creating a music which was exclusively theirs to enjoy. As they cuddled, they gently drifted off to sleep, like babies, warm and peaceful. That weekend, on a lazy winter afternoon, lust took a back seat and love triumphed.